Thanks very much. So, if anyone has any questions, not too naughty. Yeah.
I cannot tell with that proviso. Just if you could say a bit about the time you spent with Paul Robeson.
Oh, you know what? That was a journalist's
What was the question?
terrible boo-boo. Oh, well, let me give you some background, then you'll know what the question is. The Bay Guardian did a story about my book and about me, and a young woman came to my apartment to interview me. Well, she never checked any facts with me. She wrote down, she just scribbled a couple of notes, and the next week, there's a whole page in the Bay Guardian, including, listen to this, I nearly went ballistic, that I was lovers with Paul Robeson. Now, Paul Robeson had one foot in the grave by the time I was a teenager. I do mention him in my book because he's a person that I admire hugely. I think he was a fantastic human being and a great role model and icon. And I really went spare when I saw that. But it was already out there. And then I realized, so many young people, the ones maybe that read The Guardian. How many people here read The Guardian? They don't know who Paul Robeson is.
He's been dead for 50 years.
I think he died in 64, or maybe it was 68.
His theme song was Mama's
Anyway, so I can't tell you anything about my years with Paul Robeson. I'm sorry.
He was a biggie in Ireland, all the Irish.
The Irish people loved him because we had his records when I was young, and
His theme song was Mama's Little Baby Loves Shortening Bread.
Yeah, and my curly-headed baby. That was, Paul Robeson had hits in Ireland that when they were trying to put him in prison, we really admired him and loved his music and everything else about him.
But let's face it, we're going to ally ourselves with anyone that has been trodden down and treated as...
That's right. This person here in the front is saying that Ireland and Irish people, we ally ourselves with the downtrodden and the mistreated. And that's probably why Paul Robeson was so popular in Ireland. But we also know good singers when we hear them. That's the other thing, We do know about music, yeah.
Just a quick question about your husband. Your husband's background is Irish and Native American?
Yeah, and he's down there. You can talk to him about it.
But we always aligned ourselves with the Native Americans.
That's true, because during the famine, the Choctaws sent food to Ireland. We got food from the Native Americans when the British were starving us. Sorry, Julia. I have a friend who arrived here yesterday from England, and I have to be very careful what I say. She's very touchy.
It's not very touching, except everybody.
I'm only getting up your nose, Julia. But yeah.
I have a very, very good friend, a Cork man, who refuses to say that there was ever a famine in Ireland at all.
Oh God, there was.
He claims that the potato crop was the only crop that failed, and there was food in abundance in Ireland, but it was all for export.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. That is true, and that's why we don't really call it. It's not politically correct to call it the famine. It really was the Great Hunger, and it's even a genocide. Yeah.
Yes, genocide.
But Ireland had too many people. This is another factor. We couldn't afford the amount of people we had at that time. We had 8 million people. We could barely support 4. And when, the Catholic Church wanted to give us a reason for the famine, it was that we couldn't cope with the people and they had to be cut back. So as us kids at 6 and 7 years old listening to this, we found this really strange, or later on. But that was the reason, and it's true, we couldn't afford to keep the number of people to support them. Do you know how we're only 500 miles from Maidenhead and Antrim to Missenhead and Cork, and we're only 300 miles across? That's like a village here. you know.
Yeah, we're just a little island. It's a terrible way to lose your population, though.
Though it was. But, you know, the Irish always want to be Catholic. Sometimes I don't agree.
Yeah, well, overpopulation is the world's biggest problem, but don't get me started because I got a soapbox here. You could be here all night. Yeah.
Can you talk about what it was like to arrive in San Francisco as an Irish person when you came here, what the Irish community was like here, how you felt at home or didn't feel at home, that sort of thing?
Well, I did. I can't remember how I first got involved with the Irish here, but I think it was probably through music. I think it was hearing Kevin Brennan over in the Starry Plough. So I met Kevin Brennan and I met Owen Murphy. And of course they were revolutionaries, so I fit right in. So that was how I got it. It was through Kevin Brennan's music and, well, their politics as well. And I did a lot of street theatre here, guerrilla theatre. So I really enamored myself to everybody by organising a fundraiser for the striking British miners. I was trying to get across that British workers and the British people are not our enemies. So I did fundraising for the striking British miners, and they came out, and Lou did some fundraising for them with his union, and so yeah, I did get into the Irish community, and then I started writing for the Irish paper. But no, I didn't come to San Francisco like voluntarily. I came to San Francisco because I fell in love with Lou, but it wasn't in my plans for myself to live in the United States. I feel European. I still feel European and feel that pull. But we figured out he's a longshoreman, he wasn't going to get a good job in Ireland like the good union job that he had here. He's retired now. So I didn't feel alienated in any kind of a way. But when you're an immigrant, you are a bit of an alien because you're not at home in either place. You've got one leg in one place and one leg in the other. You're a Yank in Ireland, and here, you're not American either. So, yes, Barbara.
Are you done reading?
Unless there's something you're dying for, but maybe people want to go and drink wine. I don't know.
Well, your disillusionment chapter, that's pretty short, isn't it?
Are you up for one more short chapter? I read this one before at Crossroads, so you might have heard it. It's about Buffalo, New York. And I read it at one of the Crossroads things, and there was a person in the audience from Buffalo. Which one is it? And what is it about? Oh, about the pair of pants. Oh yes, wait, yes. Okay, forget about the Buffalo, New York. It's about the pair of pants. Disillusionment, it's called, she says. She knows the book better than I do. Oh, Delusions, yeah, Delusion, 209. It's very short, and then you can go and have your wine. I haven't been obsessed with my weight since I sold my full-length mirror in a garage sale. Well, that's not exactly true. Somebody sent me a cartoon today, and there's a woman lying in a Barcalounger, and she's saying, I wish I was as slim now as I was when I thought I was fat. And I so related to that. I look at pictures of myself from years ago when I was convinced I was fat, and not a bit of fat on me. The last time I thought about it was when I was on vacation with Lou. We were getting ready for a late night dinner in Barcelona, and I decided to wear some black pants I had purchased a couple of months earlier. I had saved them for the trip, and planned to wear them with something flimsy and lacy. When I put them on, I was astounded. The pants were huge on me. I tried to intrigue my husband with what I termed a miracle. "Can you believe this?" I asked him excitedly. "Can you believe this? It looks like I've lost 15 or 20 pounds without trying." I was on a natural high. I went out whistling Lady of Spain as I got dressed. I kept giggling at the good fortune that allowed me to drop 2 dress sizes in 2 months without dieting, and I indulged in whatever food I desired at dinner that night. We stayed up later than usual because I wanted to promenade in my new incarnation as the Queen of Sheba. My husband was on a contact high, perhaps mirroring my feelings of being arm candy or a trophy wife. Getting ready for bed, I opened the closet to hang up my clothes, and I saw the black pants hanging there. "What's going on here?" I said aloud. "How can I be wearing them and have them hanging in the closet at the same time?" I stepped out of the ones in which I had been sashaying around all evening, and I examined them closely. "Waist 36 inches" was written on the inside label. I had been wearing my husband's trousers. I'll take another couple of questions if you want, or not. Yeah.
I heard that you went to the Festival du Désert in Mali.
Yeah.
Could you talk about that?
Yeah. They're having a time there in Mali right now. With there had been a coup d'état in Bamako, and when I went there, I went for the music. So I went to Timbuktu, and it is as remote a place as you've always heard it is. So I went on a very harrowing long trip out 40 kilometers from Timbuktu out into the desert, and heard the most fantastic music that has ever been heard by the Tuareg, the Blue Men of the Sahara. So they have a festival every year. They're not going to have it now with the political stuff going on. And I have friends out there. I mean, I may have friends out there. I've sent them a little bit of money to see if I could help them. But so the Tuareg are the Blue Men of the Sahara, so called because they wear the indigo dyed veils and their skin turns blue from the dyes. But a lot of them had gone to, they burned all their weapons. There's a peace monument in Timbuktu of all these AK-47s and Kalashnikovs that have just been burned and formed into a monument. They're all like melted in the middle of it's just a dirt town. And so a lot of them were in exile in Libya, and got some electric guitars while they were there and started playing rock and roll. So it's a melding of the African and rock and roll music, and it's just absolutely stunning. It's fantastic. So I went 2 years in a row, and I would go every year if I could, because it's an amazing place, and the people are wonderful and talented and just gorgeous. It was a great trip, yeah. Anybody else? Okay. Gura míle maith agat agus a bula bus.